Mine LaMotte, To Mine or Not to Mine by Brian Earhart for GIS 3043. This geodatabase gives various maps and layers for use in determining feasibility and importance of LaMotte area in Missouri. The mine LaMotte is located close to Fredericktown in Missouri and has been used extensively for mining various minerals. It was the first mine west of the Mississippi, started mining in 1720 by the French. The research question I'm studying here is where would be the best place to begin mining in LaMotte area if we were to begin mining there. I work for a Doe Run company, and we find sites for lead mines and places to research and explore for lead and zinc and copper and various other minerals all the time. And the geologists I work with gave me this question as to whether it would be feasible to actually start mining in the LaMotte area after it's been mined for quite a while. So that's what we're trying to determine here. The audience for this feature would be my geological colleagues, mine planners, executives, and of course the professor of this course. The data that I've used here started with of course, the background layer, which is a contour map. The Missouri census data, I did not find very much of that, but I looked intensively for it. USGS did 2 aerial surveys, one for uranium and one a magnetic survey, and I used georeferencing for that. The geological layering, I did not actually get into the layering of the rock this time simply because it has been mined extensively and there's data out there for that, and a lot of that is kept sort of under the vest by a lot of the mines, as well as the amount of mineral content in the area. The geological hazardous sites were on an EPA site, and it gave me shape files of the hazardous waste sites near the mine. Georeferencing was one of the things I did for the aerial surveys. I did buffers for distance between the mine workings and distances from roads and rail systems, and then I clipped those buffers to designate what it would make the best mine sites for that general area. I also added an independent feature class for the mine LaMotte because that was not stated on the map where the mine LaMotte actually the entrance was the designated place, and I had to create that feature class itself. I also did research of the data for the current surrounding cities within 60 kilometers, which was one of the parameters put on this project by my geologist colleague. He wanted a working class within 60 kilometers of 5,000 people or greater with an education in the college, on the college level. 20% of those people, I should say. The flow chart of my methods. The georeferencing part really was an old mine map. It was more like aerial survey maps. Had the base map, mine aerial surveys, and I georeferenced those using control points that were already on the maps, on the surveys themselves. This is an example of the uranium resource evaluation. This is an example of the aerial magnetic survey. This is one for mine hazard sites. I had fault sites, which were done by the USGS, and I also used the EPA Superfund sites. They weren't Superfund, they were just places for destroying or collecting hazardous materials. this is a permitted hazardous waste sites around LaMotte. You'll see that it's really a broad area. The circle around LaMotte near Fredericktown is a 1 kilometer radius around there, and you can see how far the various shape files are. The one located by Tom Sock and one located near Cape Girardeau, quite a ways away. The faults in this area, this is a 1 kilometer, like I said, 1 kilometer radius buffer here, and there's 3 main faults for that area. LaMotte could be more than that if the mine workings, of course, are larger, but that's generally what you use to designate a mine. Possible mine sites. This is where I used buffers and clipped the results. These are various mines in LaMotte area and the mineral mined. This is within 2 kilometers of previous mine works. This is the buffer I put around those. Then I had the major roads and railways, and I put buffers around those. And this is after the clipping. My results, the area has a bunch of mineral in it, and it really will be, according to the interpretation of the aerial surveys by a geologist much more intelligent than me, for sure. The distance to a group of workers with education standards asked for by my geologist friend is going to be a problem. Farmington is the closest and it still has less than 20%. It has around 19% college educated there. So really it wasn't even worth putting on the map because there wasn't anything close. The distances from roads and rails is a good point, and there are a lot of mine sites that would work if you were wanting to start up a mine there in that general area again. My interpretation is that the working class is really going to be a problem, and it's either going to take a lowering of criteria where you don't have to have 20%, or you're going to have to find people who are willing to come to that area to work. And I guess if you give them a high enough wage, then they would possibly relocate. The limitations I had on this assignment were basically the survey data. That was one thing I had trouble finding regarding the education level of the cities. I did find it, but I didn't find it in GIS form, and that was sort of a drawback here, because it would have made an excellent buffer to use on the map, as well as the roadways and the sites, the old mine sites.